Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Metro Johnny, and today we're going to be giving you guys my Madden 23 beta franchise review. One thing I want to take note, I can't show any gameplay or screenshots. I just want to make sure and be extra careful here, so I'm not going to be showing you guys anything there. I want to just tell you guys that up front. You're not going to see any gameplay or anything like that. But I have the beta pulled up right here, right in front of me, so I can make sure not to miss any single details on what is new in the franchise mode for Madden 23. Also, I have to say, of course, this is the beta. It is due to change, subject to change, of course. Will it change from here in 2 months, from what it is to what it's going to be? I would tell you, I think it's probably going to be close to this build right here. I don't think much is going to change. I do hope some things get more stable because I have had issues with stability. But without further ado, let's dive into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the new. So first thing, from what it seems like to me, is they added two different things, and that are like smaller categories to a bigger category that they added, which is interest. Player interest. Player interest is going to be defer to each player in the league, and it's basically their interest on if they like the team or if they don't like the team. A player that has a little to no interest in your team is going to be a lot harder to sign in free agency or negotiate a contract with if they just don't like the team. If a player has good interest and likes the team a lot, they'll take less money. You know, maybe they'll pull a Tom Brady in and take a cut, or they'll re-sign a contract for less money. It's just easier overall to negotiate with players who like your franchise, like your team, whether it be in the free agency or it be just trying to renegotiate a contract. And I think this is a really cool aspect. It gives the players personality, but that isn't enough. Like, you got to get it a little more deeper, and they do try to do that with this next category, and that is motivations / tags. So this is the newest thing that I feel like they've added here. There are two categories here, and the first one we'll go over is motivations. So when you pull up a player card, there is going to be a new selection to go over to behind progression history, and it's called motivations and tags. So for the motivations, every player has these, every single one, and they're different for each player. And I'm going to make a separate video going into detail on all of the motivations that I have come across in the beta, because there's a pretty good bit of variety here actually, and I'm not seeing much of these repeat. So if you want to see a separate video on just motivations in general, as we take a deep dive in that new thing in the game, check out the channel. It'll be coming soon. But for now, I want to give you an overall view, a quick view of what motivations are. And basically, this is going to be the categories of what's either positively affecting this player to like your franchise or negatively impacting this player and not liking your franchise. For instance, if I take Zach Wilson from the Jets, he has 3 motivations. One of his motivations is super positive, that he likes the big market, and so that makes him like playing with the New York Jets. But one thing he doesn't like is he can't stand the income tax in New Jersey, and that makes him not like playing for the Jets so much. So those are just examples for motivations. There's going to be certain players that just don't like an area, and there's nothing that you can do about that. And are they good enough to pay extra money is what you're going to have to decide. Moving over to player tags. Tags are kind of like titles that you give a player. For instance, Aaron Rodgers has the franchise quarterback tag. And what this does is mean that, well, the franchise is saying publicly that we don't want any other quarterbacks in the draft or free agency. We're sticking with Aaron Rodgers. He is our guy until he plays out his career. Then we'll think about moving on. And this kind of goes stronger in hand for the CPU teams. For instance, if I'm controlling the Miami Dolphins, but the Packers have a franchise quarterback, it's supposed to stop them from drafting a quarterback or going for a quarterback in free agency if they have a quarterback tagged as QB franchise, or franchise quarterback, should I say. In other words, it's supposed to fix teams going for positions that they don't need. I say supposed to, though, because it's, in my opinion, currently not working. But on top of this, tags can have a negative impact on a team's interest. For instance, if I have Patrick Mahomes and it's the free agency period and I'm with the Chiefs and I go to, let's say, Cam Newton, who is a free agent, and I try to sign him on a deal, he's not going to necessarily like the deal I want to offer him because he's going to end up getting the tag like backup QB, and he wants to start, but he's not going to get that opportunity in Kansas City. So now it's going to be a lot harder for me to get him on the team. So it's adding character to the players. They all have their different tags or different motivations, stuff like that. From what I see currently right now, once a player has a certain type of motivation, it doesn't change. So each player gets 3 different motivations. And for tags, some players have no tags, some players have 1 tag, some have 2. It just depends. I'm not sure what causes that to happen. I do think it depends on, where you draft them at. So if I go first, if I draft a quarterback in the first round, he's going to automatically get the tag called quarterback of the future. And basically that gives him a tag where he's likely to start above similar rated players. And if he doesn't start, it's going to negatively impact his interest in my team. So let's say I draft a quarterback first overall, and then I decide, you know what, it was a bust. I don't want to start this guy. I want to keep my current quarterback. That's going to make him not like me. It's going to make him not like the franchise. He got drafted first round, and he's not even getting to start as a quarterback. So that's kind of how that system works. I'm going to go on a deeper dive because I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to move on from that, and we're going to move and talk about the free agency period. The free agency period has changed. The biggest change is obviously the interest. Each player that's in the free agent is a free agent has interest in your team already. If I'm like the Cleveland Browns or the Houston Texans or somebody really bad, and there's a team that desires to win rings, it's going to be a lot harder for me to entice them, and I'm going to have to pay a lot more money to get them on my team, especially if it's a high overall player and there's other teams going for that player. So if we're all in a battle and I throw a 10 million per year contract at a player, right? And another team throws a 10 million year contract at the player, and our contract terms are the same, but he has higher interest in the other team than my team, though it's the same amount of money, he's going to go with the team that he wants to play for more. So if I was to want to beat that, I would need to offer a fair more amount of money. And then even then, it's not 100%. I will say my one narc with this is I feel like EA could make it a little more punishing, as I was able to get everybody that I went for in my first ever free agency period on the beta. There wasn't a player that I wasn't able to get because of interest. But I will say this though, I did have to pay a lot more money than I would have in past games. So keep that in mind. Moving on to the same. I'm just gonna make this really quick. Obviously, gameplay hasn't changed that much. It's got the same feel as Madden 22, just better animations. I will say it does feel a little bit better. You have a little more control over your running back and just the the movement in general. Of course it's gonna feel different, but for the most part, it's the same engine, it's the same stuff. You know what it is. The menu is exactly the same for franchise. Exactly the same. Each tag or each little slot that you can click on, it's in the same order, in the same way, exactly carbon copy the same. The only thing that's changed there is obviously like the color and stuff like that, but it is the same layout 110%. Besides that new little thing you can click on, that is the motivation / tags. Next up, the CPU AI, like the intelligence of the CPU. It's the same. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, like the roster management stuff is the same. The draft board, or the draft, the mock draft, should I say? At first I thought they fixed it and it was looking a little more realistic, but no, it's not. It's exactly the same. The mock drafts from it's just the same. You know what I mean? And then the drafting AI, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important things here, because it determines on how your franchise is going to go as you get farther and farther into it. The drafting AI is tremendously bad. Tremendously bad. It's the same. It's always been bad, though. But yeah. Player progression. How do you upgrade your players? How do they gain XP? It's the same exact system. Just keep that in mind. If you're looking for something new in these categories, you're not going to get it. It's the same exact thing. For team simulation, just how the game simulates it, like, have they changed the simulation engine? No, you're going to get, around the same simulation. So if you liked how the previous Madden sim, if you feel like they're realistic with like interception ratio, touchdown pass ratio, rushing yards, stuff like that, receiving yards, tackles, sacks, you're going to be happy here because it hasn't changed at all. It's the same kind of simulation. So stat lines, stuff like that are the same. And then another thing a lot of people don't really talk about is draft name pool, like just little stuff like this. The draft name pool is exactly the same. I'm seeing repeated names. I've seen a lot. Currently right now, I don't really like the generated names. I literally, and you're gonna think I'm joking here, but I promise you I'm being honest. I got a dude named Lightning McQueen. Okay. Like the last name McQueen, first name anyways, draft name pool is the same though, because you're seeing like Kilgore. I've seen Kilgore. That's a very popular name. I've seen that plenty of times. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that name, but I've seen it so many times, and I've seen it again. Matter of fact, let me anyways, a lot of names are repeating. So nothing's changed there. So that's the same. Moving on to the next category, what do I like? And I'm just going to be honest with you. I will go ahead and admit, this is probably the closest I've ever been in the last 5, 6, 7 years to giving a positive review to Madden. I'm not saying I'm giving them a positive review. I'm saying this is the closest I've been to it. There are some things I like. I do like the motivation / tags, and I do like the player interest. I just feel like they don't hit the mark completely. And hopefully they build on the system. I do really like it. I'm telling you guys, I like the system for the interest. Like giving players personality. Having them like certain places over others. Like one of the things was, the player liked playing with Miami because the weather. He doesn't want to play in the cold no more. He was a veteran who played for like Green Bay or something, right? And he's done, man. He wants to play where the weather's nice, like stuff like that. I like that, and that's in this game. And so anyone who's saying that they didn't add anything, they're just, dude. I'm never going to want to be the person where I just hate to hate. So when I'm hating, it's legit. And there's a lot of crap that needs to be fixed in this game still. This is by no means good enough. It's not where it needs to be. So don't think I'm praising them when I say this, but I will say this. I like the direction that they're going. The player interest is nice. It feels like, you know, you have to battle a little harder in the free agency period if, you know, a player is interested in going to another place over your team, and so you have to throw in more money. I like that. That's cool. So that's what I like about this game. As far as, I mean, that's not a big list. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the motivations and tags idea, and I like the player interest idea. But honestly, I will say this: I am on the PS5, by the way. The menus are super quick this year. They're quicker than they were previous. I like that as well. So that's my like. As far as gameplay goes, it's better than last year's. Not my favorite gameplay of all time out of all the Maddens I've played. So I'm not going to say that I like it, but I don't dislike the gameplay either. So it is what it is. It's kind of generic. It's the same. It feels a little bit better than last year. Moving on to what worries me. And this is going to be the last category before I tell you should you get it or not. That's what worries me. The crashing. Obviously, this is the beta, but I still got to say this because this is what I experienced. When I was in my draft, and it was my turn to select my player, every time I went to go select the player, the game crashed. And for that whole first season, for the first season, for the first draft, I couldn't select one player. I had to sim the whole draft. That is not okay. That worries me to the core, because these are things that, okay, well, you know, it's not released yet, EA should fix. It worries me because, well, this is a company that may let this just go under the radar for the first 2 to 3, 4 months. And the draft, as we all know, franchise players all know, we can all sit here and agree, the draft is the most funnest. That's right, funnest. And it is the most important part of the damn game. And I couldn't even select one player. That is not good at all. That breaks the game completely for me. Next up is in the same category, the AI draft logic. And you guys are going to be a little upset when you hear this, and this may go ahead and turn you off from getting the game, because let me just break this down to you. First season I simmed. The Chiefs and Cowboys ended up going to the Super Bowl to battle it out, where it was a good Super Bowl. The Chiefs ended up winning 35-31 over the Dallas Cowboys. We ended up moving on to the draft. And the Jacksonville Jaguars had the first pick, and the Buffalo Bills had the second overall pick. Don't ask me why Buffalo did so bad, but they finished 3-14 or something like that. I don't know why, but they did. Okay. The Jacksonville Jaguars, with their first selection, picked a quarterback, which makes no sense to me because they have Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence has the tag QB or franchise QB, and he is a superstar X Factor. I'm pretty sure, or yeah, superstar X Factor. Or no, he's just a superstar dev is what I meant to say. All right. So to me, the draft logic isn't good, but then it really convinced me with the Bills pick, the second pick in the overall draft. The Buffalo Bills selected, you guessed it, a quarterback. Screw Josh Allen, who is superstar X Factor, who did simulate and have a very dominant season, and who does have the new thing that they've added, the tag selection. He has the tag quarterback, or franchise quarterback. That's what he has. He has that tag, which is the new thing that they implemented in the game. And unfortunately, what this tells me is that the tag part of the thing does not work. It does not mean anything, because if you look at franchise QB tag, if you look at the details on what that means in the game does state this means the team will not go for a quarterback until the player approaches the end of their career. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, they're nowhere close to the end of their career. So unfortunately, what this is telling me is that right now the tags are just there. They're not really doing anything. And that, well, that worries me. All right. So overall, that's the biggest thing that worries me. Should you buy this game? We're at around 20 minutes here, so 21 minutes. I would tell you this: if you were expecting any better draft logic or anything like that, I would hold off on it. I wouldn't rush to pre-order it, even if the draft logic was even a little bit better. Overall, there isn't too, as much as I would like to say, hey man, Madden's great, you gotta go pre-order it. It's not that type of game. I like the direction they're going. Should you get a copy of the Madden? Yes. Maybe later down the line when it goes on sale, or maybe you just wait a week or two and see how the game is on delivery day. Are these bugs fixed? Is it not crashing? Is the new tag feature that they implemented working? And then if you hear, on YouTube or wherever that, hey, the game's not crashing, franchise is stable, the tags seem to be working again, or working for the first time. If it comes and it's stable at launch, then I would snag it up, because there's some enjoyment here that we didn't have last year. Is it enough to pre-order? No. Do not freaking pre-order this game. Wait till it drops. That would be my advice to anybody here, and wait to see, are there any big issues on launch day like there was with Madden 21? One thing, guys, gonna cut myself off here, and just want to tell you guys, I know some of you guys are fans of relocation. That's not my biggest feature that I like, but I do it sometimes, and I wanted to check it out, make sure I checked it out for you guys that do like it though. And I wanted to let you know that it is completely the same, exactly the same, carbon copy. Not one thing is different, exactly the same relocation places that you get to choose from, with exactly the same 3 teams for each of the relocation. It's exactly the same. So for instance, if you go to Brooklyn, you'll have the Beats, the Bulls, the Barons. If you go anywhere else, as my phone goes off, it's exactly the same, man. Not one thing is different. That's a big letdown. I know you guys that like to relocate and stuff like that. It's just disappointing. But that's gonna be it. I'm gonna let myself talk here and do the outro, stuff like that. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Like, if you're on the edge of your seat, like, should you buy it, should you not buy it? I tried to cover exactly every last thing. One last thing, I also, because I forgot to mention, they did clean up everything for the most part. I will hand them that. Like, so for the drafting, or excuse me, for the scouting, it's a lot easier to look and see who you have rather than having to go into each single tab and like push 3 buttons just to check one thing out. They do have their stats. It's just cleaner. The free agency period is a lot cleaner. You actually get to see the contracts that each player has agreed to, so you can kind of see, let's say you pick up a big named wide receiver, you can see how you did compared to everyone else on salary per year. So you can kind of see if you paid a little too much for your guy. Are you right in the middle of where everyone else is paying, or did you snag them for cheap and then everyone else is paying a lot more? I think that's a pretty cool little cleanup feature that they added here. Overall, it's a lot cleaner on the menus, but it is the same menus. And for team relocation, guys, I'm sorry, man. They just don't care about you. They really don't. But I'm going to let myself get back to it. Even Madden 22 had problems. I would wait. That's my advice to you guys. You guys let me know, what do you think? Did anything in this video pique your interest? Or are you just kind of falling asleep? Do you like the motivations? And again, I am going to be going over, I'm going to be making a deep dive video on just the new feature that they added in franchise, which is the motivation / player tags. Or if you want to have a live discussion with me and all of my community, join the Discord down below. write a comment. I'll leave you a link. We have a subscriber player series called the Subscriber League. It's going down on Madden 23. If you want to submit a player, watch that player's career unfold. How many rings can you get by the end of your career? You want to know that? You want to have a player in the MFL? Leave that down below as well. I always welcome new subscribers. Very active. I always put you guys inside every series that I do. Join the Discord and come hang out with us. We like to talk football, stuff like that. Without further ado, guys, I hope you, if you are going to get Madden 23, I hope you enjoy it. And let me know what you think about the game. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.